We all have a version of ourselves that we bury in the dark. It's made up of our anger, our shame, our deepest fears. We lock it away, hoping no one ever sees it. But here's the truth. What you hide eventually controls you. This is the story of the shadow, and why the only way to find your light is to walk directly into the dark. Have you ever met someone and just instantly disliked them? Maybe they seemed arrogant or lazy or overly emotional. You couldn't quite put your finger on why, but their presence just rubbed you the wrong way. Now, what if I told you that intense reaction isn't really about them? What if it's a mirror reflecting a part of yourself you refuse to acknowledge? This is the core idea behind the shadow, a concept brought to light by the brilliant psychoanalyst Carl Jung. Jung proposed that the human psyche has a light side, the persona, which is the mask we wear for the world, and a dark side, the shadow. The shadow is the container for everything we disown about ourselves. It's the collection of traits, impulses, and emotions that our family, our society, and even we ourselves have labeled as bad or unacceptable. It could be your anger, your jealousy, your greed, your insecurities, or even hidden talents you are taught to suppress. We all start building our shadow in childhood. When a parent says, "Don't be so selfish," or "nice kids don't get angry," we learn to push those unacceptable parts of ourselves into the shadows of our subconscious. We create a persona that is agreeable, kind, and successful whatever our environment values. The problem is, those disowned parts don't just disappear. They live on deep within us, influencing our behavior in ways we don't even realize. This brings us to one of Jung's most powerful insights. What you resist persists. The more we try to deny or suppress our shadow, the more power it gains over us. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. You can do it for a while, but it takes constant energy, and the moment you lose focus, it bursts to the surface with incredible force. How does the shadow burst to the surface? One of the most common ways is through projection. Projection is a defense mechanism where we unconsciously attribute our own unacceptable qualities to other people. That person you find unbearably arrogant? Perhaps they reflecting a part of you that secretly desires more recognition, but you've suppressed it because you were taught that wanting attention is a bad thing. That friend you judge for being too emotional? Maybe it's because you've learned to bottle up your own feelings, and seeing them expressed so freely makes you deeply uncomfortable. We see our own disowned shadows in the people we judge most harshly. Our intense negative reactions are often a signpost, pointing directly to a piece of ourselves we have yet to confront. When we say, "I can't stand people who are like that," what we might really be saying is, "I can't stand the part of me that is like that." This is a tough pill to swallow, because it means taking responsibility for our reactions instead of just blaming others. So, if we can't get rid of the shadow, what are we supposed to do with it? The answer isn't to destroy it, but to integrate it. Shadow work is the process of bringing these hidden parts of yourself into the light of consciousness. It's about having an honest and often difficult conversation with the person you hide. Integration means turning your perceived negative traits into sources of power. Let's take anger, for example. We're often taught that anger is a destructive emotion to be avoided at all costs. But repressed anger doesn't go away. It festers, turning into resentment, passive aggression, or even physical illness. However, when you integrate your anger, you learn to see it for what it is: pure energy. It's a signal that a boundary has been crossed or a need isn't being met. Healthy, integrated anger can become the fuel for setting boundaries, speaking your truth, and fighting for what's right. It transforms from a destructive force into assertiveness and passion. What about a trait like selfishness? We're conditioned to see it as a moral failing. But what if integrated selfishness is actually self-care? What if it asks the ability to prioritize your own well-being so that you do and burn out? What if it is knowing when to say no, so you can give a wholehearted yes to the things that truly matter? The negative trait, when understood and integrated, becomes a strength. Your fear can become your caution and wisdom. Your sadness can become your empathy and connection to others. Your greed can become your ambition and drive. The shadow holds a tremendous amount of locked up energy and vitality. By reclaiming these parts of ourselves, we stop wasting energy on suppression and instead harness that power for our own growth and creativity. This leads to a fundamental shift in perspective. Many of us spend our lives striving to be a good person. We try to be endlessly patient, selfless, and positive. But this pursuit of goodness often requires us to deny our wholeness. Being a good person can be fragile. The moment you feel anger or jealousy, you feel like you've failed. You judge yourself, pushing that emotion back into the shadow, and the cycle continues. The goal of shadow work isn't to be a good person, but a whole person. A whole person acknowledges that they are capable of both light and dark. They have anger, but they are not controlled by it. They feel jealousy, but they can examine it with curiosity instead of shame. They accept their imperfections, their flaws, and their contradictions. There's an incredible power and resilience in this. When you are whole, you are no longer afraid of what's inside you. You can't be thrown off balance by a negative emotion because you recognize it as a part of the complete human experience. Being whole doesn't mean you have a license to act out your darkest impulses. It's the opposite. It's through conscious awareness that you gain control. When you are aware of your capacity for anger, you can choose to express it constructively instead of letting it explode. When you are aware of your envy, you can use it as information about what you desire, rather than lashing out at others. Consciousness gives you choice. Ignorance leaves you at the mercy of your unconscious drives. So how do you begin this journey? It starts with radical self-honesty. Pay attention to your projections. The next time you have a strong negative reaction to someone, pause and ask yourself, what is this person showing me about myself? Is there a tiny part of me that is like that? Journaling is another powerful tool. Ask yourself questions like, what did my parents punish me for? What qualities do I dislike in others? What am I most ashamed of? Write down your thoughts without judgment. The goal is simply to bring the unconscious into the conscious. Also, notice your dreams. Jung believed dreams are a direct line to the subconscious, often revealing our shadow aspects in symbolic form. If you have a recurring dream or a particularly vivid one, think about what it might be trying to tell you about the parts of yourself you're ignoring. This work isn't easy. It means looking at the parts of yourself you'd rather not see. It can be uncomfortable and even painful. But on the other side of that discomfort is freedom. The freedom from being controlled by your unconscious fears. The freedom to be authentic rather than constantly performing. And the freedom that comes from deep self-acceptance. By integrating your shadow, you become more compassionate, not just to yourself, but to others. When you understand your own capacity for darkness, you are less likely to judge it in other people. You realize that everyone is fighting a hidden battle. The person you hide in the dark holds the keys to your greatest power. They are not your enemy. They are the missing piece of you. The journey into the shadow is the journey back to wholeness. It is the only way to stop living a life in black and white and finally embrace all the brilliant, messy, and beautiful colors of who you truly are. The only way out is through. The only way to find your light is to befriend your own darkness. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing for more journeys into the mind. See you next time.